I'm pleased to have supported the American Rescue Plan, which restored the child tax credit to offer vital assistance to diligent, hardworking families. This expansion aids children from diverse backgrounds and supports communities where parents face disproportionate representation in low-wage positions due to systemic discrimination and other obstacles to advancement. With additional expansion, approximately 16 million children could see benefits within the initial year, with over 1/3 of all Black and Latino children under 17 seeing benefits as well. So, Secretary Yellen, is expanding the child tax credit a way to create more economic stability for eligible families? And isn't having monthly payments as a way in which it's ultimately paid out a critical element of reducing child poverty?
Yes, I believe the child tax credit has been, and if expanded in the future, would reduce child poverty absolutely dramatically. In 2021, when we had monthly payments, that was something that the IRS, in spite of all of the funding shortage it had and difficulties, quickly put into effect very effectively. What we saw was that 5.3 million people moved out of poverty, and including 2.9 million children. And
it clearly is one thing that government can do.
Absolutely.
That can dramatically help, particularly children, get out of poverty. So I look forward to the chairman's bill being brought to the floor. Currently, 43 million people have outstanding student debt, totaling $1.6 trillion, which keeps hardworking Americans from achieving financial security. Previously, student loan debt that was canceled was considered taxable income by the IRS, and thus individuals who received debt cancellation would face a large surprise tax bill, which undermines the importance of loan forgiveness in the first place. I'm proud to have had my Student Loan Tax Relief Act included as part of the American Rescue Plan. That provision made any college loan forgiveness tax-free, ensuring borrowers whose debt is fully or partially forgiven are hit with thousands of dollars in surprise tax, ensuring that doesn't happen. But the provision sunsets in 2025, and I'm worried that any forgiven student debt in the future will result in a burdensome tax bill. So, Madam Secretary, isn't it just common sense to have canceled student debt be considered tax-free?
Certainly, the administration was supportive of that, and I don't know that they've taken a position going forward, but President Biden has felt very strongly about wanting to relieve the burden of this debt.
Right, and in his desire to release debt, which I share, it just doesn't make sense to then have it taxed at the end of the day. So I hope we can extend it. I was pleased to see that the budget calls for a permanent extension of the new market tax credit. This credit has brought over $1.4 billion to New Jersey alone, bringing much-needed private investment to community development entities that provide loans, investments, and financial counseling to low-income communities across the state. Madam Secretary, what possibilities will making this credit permanent lock in for low and income communities?
Well, I think it's a tremendously important tool for bringing much needed investment into communities, especially some of the most the poorest communities that really can benefit from and are suffering from a severe shortage of investment, and we would like to see it made permanent.
Well, according to an analysis from the Urban Institute, the new market tax credit leads to the creation of jobs through funding for manufacturing and other businesses, expansion of healthcare services, construction of housing services for vulnerable populations, and much more. And so if we allow it to lapse, then we will miss out on all of that economic investment, not just for those communities, but for others. Finally, the one disappointment I do have, Mr. Chairman, about this budget is the state and local property tax deduction, which is about middle-class families in New Jersey and across the country. We have not restored it. It was the oldest provision of the tax code, and while it expires next year, I just want to wave the saber to say that when it expires, we're going to fight like hell to make sure it doesn't continue to